Please remove your hats and take a moment of silence for the Cinema National Anthem.
We come to this place for magic. We come to AMC theaters to laugh, to cry, to care. Because we need that, all of us. That indescribable feeling we get when the lights begin to dim. And we go somewhere we've never been before. Not just entertained, but somehow reborn. Together. Dazzling images on a huge silver screen. Sound that I can feel. Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Our heroes feel like the best part of us. And stories feel perfect and powerful. Because here, they are. AMC Theaters. We make movies better.
I'm just kidding. Anywhere else I'd be a 10. Is it my destiny to live and die a life?
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Reviewing the Cineweb. It's the big one, Barbenheimer! I'm sure as many of you know by this point has become kind of the event of the summer, with Barbie and Oppenheimer, the little double feature that could, it's just like the little engine that could, but like the little double feature that could, see, it's covered. It's one of the most insane double features that became an internet meme at first, and now it's just become a genuine, like, people can't disassociate these movies.
Guy brought a shirt.
In case you noticed from the National Cinematic Anthem cold open, you might have noticed that, my hair was a bit longer there, and I have to say to that, thank you for noticing. I'm really happy you noticed my haircut. I mean, oh my gosh. But seriously, though, that was recorded a little under a week after I saw Barbenheimer with Lily, and the, portion of the review that we did together was, it's been, how do we put it? Life has been busy, folks. Life has been really busy for myself, for Gianella on the editing side. It has been really tricky to, record anything or work on anything productive, because even in the summer, life gets busy, and then classes start soon, and then life gets busier, and then you just have to keep juggling it all like it's... Moving on! Usually with reviews, I always like to make sure that they're very close to release, as much as I can, until I can ever get to a point where I, and maybe even others, are able to go to press screenings, to see things a lot earlier. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, studios, please help us out. Until that day, I usually try to make sure that these reviews come out fairly soon after, but Barbie, Oppenheimer, they have not slowed down. People keep seeing them because the excitement around Barbenheimer, the double feature that could, is insane. I don't think I've ever seen something like this where the event of the summer has been a double feature. Like last year, a lot of people like to rightfully say that Top Gun Maverick, it's a movie like No Way Home that brought people back to theaters. And Barbenheimer did so and then some. I mean, Across the Spider-Verse did very well. I cannot, I have to make sure that gets its rightful respect. Oppenheimer, was always going to do well because it's a Christopher Nolan movie, but it's a 3-hour rated R drama. It shouldn't, you wouldn't expect it to be as profitable and as money-making as it is. And Barbie, it made $1 billion! Woo! Greta Gerwig. It's insane how the Barbenheimer hype has continued all the way up until now, almost a month after release. That is insane. Enough of me talking. I'm going to go back to past Alex to see what past Alex and past Lily had to say about Barbenheimer. Take it away, past us.
Hey everyone, welcome to this video portion of Reviewing the Cineweb with me and my great friend Lily Fleischer. Future Me did a very good job at giving us a little preamble intro. Thank you, Future Me. We stan you unless you do something stupid. Please don't do anything stupid, Future Me. It's Barbenheimer!
Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer. Like most, sane cinephiles, we have been hyped for this double feature for quite a while, I would say.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, very long time. I mean, I think at first it started as just a joke because of course it would. But then I feel like it just became like an unironic like thing that people were really excited about, because genuinely people were really excited about both movies, and I didn't expect it to be like this big. Like, I didn't expect Barbenheimer to be like as like big of a thing. Like normal people know about this, not just us film weirdos, but normal people know about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had our theater buddies, the people that were sitting next to us in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we saw several people in both of our screenings that were, also doing the same thing. And I'm sure that there are other people doing it in the different order. That's another thing. It's like everybody's like, what order are you doing Barbie, Oppenheimer in? You able to see both of them the same day? Which is better? If people are even doing comparisons, because people are just excited about both movies. And it's like rare when you see someone who's like, I only want to see Oppenheimer or see Barbie. And I'm doing those voices because those are just, the types of demographics that only want to see one movie. The cool people, we saw both.
Yeah.
For this double feature review, double person review, like I've said with the last two reviews, I've never done this before, so structurally I have no clue how to do these things. Good luck, viewer. Hopefully you don't hate us. Even though it's Barbenheimer, we were going to go in the order that we saw the movies, which is Oppenheimer first and then Barbie. So let's just get the ground rolling with Oppenheimer, which comes from small-time director Christopher Nolan. You might have heard of him.
Yeah, I don't know. He's done a couple things.
Yeah, he's done a couple things. I think he did those like really artsy Batman movies that a couple people liked. He's also done like this like movie that a lot of people like do the horn thing, Inception. I don't know. Oh, Nolan, he's okay. All seriousness, it's Christopher Nolan. It's his next movie after Tenet, which was Nolan really trying to get a movie released to bring back theaters, and it didn't work because it was too early. The world wasn't ready legitimately because people were not vaccinated yet. He was trying to get Tenet into theaters even as safely as possible. And because of that, he broke up with Warner Brothers because, he was like, Warner Brothers, you did me dirty. And then they were like, haha.
Barbie.
Now he's got, Oppenheimer, just a big movie about a big bomb, as you do. Any Christopher Nolan movie usually is an event, which is, I feel like for a director to have any movie that they make be an event, that is a pretty rare feat, especially nowadays.
I mean, this one really felt like an event, even during the film. Like the build up and the duration of the explosion on its own.
Exactly. It was built as a seminal film because it's a Christopher Nolan movie, and also it is. I mean, it's a very, I guess, important story in human history, and they played into that with the marketing. The world will never be the same because I mean, it is no exaggeration. The atomic bomb kind of changed the world. It really has become like a big movie, which is also ironic because it's still a 3-hour rated R biopic, even outside of its like collective excitement streaming in from the Barbenheimer crew. Like, this movie like is doing insanely well, and it's a 3-hour rated R biopic. Like, that doesn't happen unless you're Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, I mean, going to it 3 hours did sound kind of dreadful. I mean, it felt, sort of like a Lincoln type, which was long as hell. I mean, I think it flew. I think they kept it moving the way that, Nolan sort of intercut the two timelines. It was long, but it wasn't dreadful.
Yeah, no, it was very well paced. I think the editing of Oppenheimer was absolutely outstanding with that, and it was a very good paced story and film. I mean, Nolan is usually a very high quality filmmaker. Obviously, your mileage may vary, but still not having seen a couple of his movies like Interstellar, Memento, and I think Insomnia are the big ones I still need to see. But this is genuinely like masterful levels. He really knocked it out of the park. It'll be hard to say I'll rewatch this more than The Dark Knight, because The Dark Knight just has more innately rewatchable qualities, but this is genuinely one of Christopher Nolan's best movies. He was really trying to do so much and succeeds on quite a lot of levels. I mean, with the 3 hour, I mean, it is for all intents and purposes a dramatic epic. It is the complete story of Oppenheimer, from beginning to end. It is his movie. It switches subjective with the two different timelines, with the shifts in color that have been said, like that's not really a spoiler, that's just the scenes in color are his perspective and black and white is objective, and it does a very thorough examination of this man and this event in history.
Yeah, for sure. I think he hits the balance of like, focusing on who Oppenheimer was, at this point in time in relation to building the bomb, like without going through, birth to death. Sometimes I think in biopics, directors try to do either too much or not enough in terms of like how much of a person's life they show.
Yeah, that is definitely a really good point. And I feel like Nolan did definitely condense pretty much condense it at 3 hours, but like he really did show like everything that really worked, that you wanted to see and needed to see. I mean, it's also, to some extent it is an educational film, because, if you don't know too much about Oppenheimer, and congratulations, here's your 3 hour history lesson featuring some really big bomb scenes and some really explicit sex scenes. And I believe it was based off the book. I believe this was an adaptation off of, I think it's the book American Prometheus. Gianella, fact check that for us. Thank you. Smooth. It's a nonlinear structure. Switching through the different timelines. Obviously similar to Citizen Kane. Also, like The Social Network, it's just innately the similarities of stories about playing with, geniuses, but geniuses of massive power and massive ego and hubris, and the way it just maneuvers through his story in building the bomb and in other aspects of his life that I guess I wasn't as familiar with, which a lot of people probably won't be. I mean, it was engaging. I only looked at my watch once, and I don't think it was because I was bored. I think I was just genuinely curious.
Mm-hmm. I will say, as far as the pacing, like, I certainly don't want to like suggest that it should be interrupted at all, because I do think the pacing of the film is what makes it work. But one of the things that I wish Nolan had maybe taken a breath and given a little more time to was sort of the moral debate or like ethical conflict before detonating or during the process of building the bomb. I mean, he talks a lot about like how if we don't do this, the Germans or the Russians are going to get it first. But I think beforehand, we sort of forget like how big of a deal this is, and how many people are going to die, and like the catastrophic effects of the bomb. Especially like we see afterwards, that incredible scene when Oppenheimer's addressing the crowd, like, he sees their
Oh yeah.
faces melting. I think it would have been interesting to have that addressed, earlier in the process,
Yeah.
save talking about, the potential effects.
Oh yeah. I definitely agree that it did feel like somewhat like odd to just kind of like how much they just kind of accepted that they needed to, build a bomb, which is, it's kind of a big deal to
Hmm.
make big bomb that go really big boom. I mean, to some extent I get it because I could sort of see with the way Nolan was piecing the story together that it was something that they really that even Oppenheimer himself, I mean, he has that quote in the trailer that they won't understand it until they've used it. And to some extent, that almost like applies to himself because I don't think anyone in the film like really comprehends just how like insanely powerful this device was and how much it was going to change the world and how many lives it would, end until after it happened. And you don't even see it's not I don't think it's really a spoiler. It's like I mean it's like First Man where you don't see the flag being planted. It's like you don't see the bombing of Hiroshima. You hear it. And I thought that was, made a lot of sense. And I think that's uh just seeing everyone's reactions of like the weight upon everyone of this huge event that weighed upon a lot of their shoulders was really I mean it was heavy. This is a heavy movie emotionally. Like you need Barbie afterwards or some sort of palate cleanser because it is
Yeah.
just it's I wouldn't say it's quite as like emotionally devastating as something like Schindler's List, but it's still pretty rough to just watch the movie about the man that made the atomic bomb. It's heavy.
For sure.
A lot of that weight was carried on the shoulders of this insane cast. I mean, it's no surprise that Nolan can get casts like these, but even then, it's just like names are popping up left and right. Oh, I didn't realize this person was in this. Oh, Josh Peck. Oh, okay. Other people that I mean, I'm usually good with keeping up with what actors are in movies beforehand, but there were some that still surprised me. And pretty much everyone, like no matter how big or small their role was, they really knocked it out of park. It was an incredible ensemble.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm thinking about like, the larger ensemble, I imagine, those scenes like, when all the scientists are in a room together kind of thing. Or, some of the hearings. And like that's yeah, that I could definitely tell like everybody, brought the focus and intensity that they needed for those scenes. One slight criticism I have, not so much about the casting, but just the amount of characters, especially in those kinds of scenes. I'll be
Yeah.
honest, there's too many of them. Especially that I couldn't keep track of everyone.
Yeah,
There
too many white guys.
too many white guys. I could not tell them all apart.
Yeah.
Definitely took like a lot, like a good portion of the movie before I could really figure out who's who and what's going on.
Yeah.
Which I know comes with the territory of, like a historical drama like that. A lot of
Yeah.
them are like that, but it could have cut a few of them out.
Yeah, whether you cut a few of them out or just uh I mean, it's not like a game where you just have like character taglines or like the subtitles because I found this easier to hear the dialogue than like Tenet, which was, like Tenet, like I'm shocked that I could follow that mostly because of how bad the dialogue issues there. But like to some extent the dialogue, yeah, that's a word, was still tricky to follow, but like I could follow it well enough. There's just so many moving pieces that I feel like with something like this that especially since like not all of them are crucial, but also like to really tell the story, like it made sense to just have as many people as it did. It's just a tricky thing that it's like, like an actual history exam or whatever. It's like how are we supposed to remember all these names, but all of them really do something important.
Mhm.
Some characters I wasn't even like familiar with. Like I didn't know, I guess, how big of a part Robert Downey Jr.'s character Strauss played. And Robert Downey Jr. He's been getting Oscars attention for supporting actor. You can see it especially after a certain scene in the movie, which we won't really spoil. But Robert Downey Jr. I mean, people forgot that he can act after Iron Man, even though he always was great as Iron Man. But he was Iron Man for like a decade, and people were like, "Is Robert Downey Jr. not going to be able to act?" Yeah, he can act just fine.
Without spoiling anything, of course, I will say, the moment where things took a turn, I think it caught me enough by surprise that, like, with his acting, it really paid off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A big turning point moment in the movie is really where you see Downey. Like, it's like, this is why he's really, because early on I was like, huh, it's interesting that he's getting supporting actor buzz, and then sort of as the movie develops, you sort of start to realize more what it's really about. Because well, again, don't want to get into the exact spoilers of the movie, but even though it's a historical drama, so if you know history, you know the spoilers. But for those who don't, Downey, he really, really carries his own. I mean, everybody really does. Damon is great as a really unlikable military general. I feel like people a lot of the times underestimate how good of an actor Matt Damon is, aside from being a movie star, because he can really transform himself into these different characters. Like, I didn't see the same Matt Damon I saw a couple months ago in Air. Like, that guy is a likable person. Like, this guy is, I mean, he's an asshole, but he's a military general in charge of the Manhattan Project.
I mean, if anything, he's almost like the comic relief of the film.
Yeah, he actually
Did a lot of, like, quippy one-liners and stuff.
Yeah,
and I think the relationship between his character and Oppenheimer was refreshing compared to a lot of the other relationships Oppenheimer has in the film.
Yeah, it was, because I mean, obviously, Oppenheimer has a lot of tense relationships with people, and even though his relationship can be quite tense with Grout, Gianella, put the character name up here. Thank you. And he did get a lot of good comedic moments. I mean, that moment that's in the trailer, with like the near zero, thing. It is a really great moment of comedic relief, and that is one thing that I always will give Nolan credit for, is that he's so good at telling very good, serious stories, but knows exactly when to slide in moments of comedic relief so that the audience doesn't just, get drowned in the amount of weight and drama of the story, because it is, again, it's so much. Everybody is carrying so much. Jack Quaid, it has such a small part in the movie, but he has to carry a lot. Benny Safdie, so many other actors. Florence Pugh has to do a lot with a little in scenes. Jason Clarke, Emily Blunt, obviously. Who doesn't stand Emily Blunt? She's incredible. And then, obviously, Cillian Murphy. Everybody knows he's an incredible actor, and this is a really powerful performance from him.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a behemoth of a task to take on, and he certainly rose to the occasion.
Yeah, it's because it's a very understated performance, which for a movie this big, with this many stakes and with this many consequences, like, he doesn't like he portrays Oppenheimer as very, like, I wouldn't say closed in, but as very I don't know, like, conserved. Like, it's just a very, like, precise individual who moves about his day and about his life with very precise actions. I mean, just all those moments where he's just staring off into the distance, I mean, really sell it all. I mean, he carries a lot of this movie. I mean, not a lot of this movie, all of this movie. I mean, this movie is dependent on his performance, and yeah, I mean, he's probably going to get an Oscar nomination. I mean, that's pretty much a guarantee, and well deserved, because I mean, he really does kill it. No pun intended. he does a phenomenal job in the movie.
Would you say he has an explosive performance?
No. Whenever you're playing, like, not even just like a man of the complexity of Oppenheimer, but just when you're trying to cover so much of any man's life, unless it's just, hi, I'm Steve, and I did nothing with my life. If you're playing anyone other than that, you're covering like so much of one person's life, and he does a very good job at carrying Oppenheimer through all of those segments, along with Nolan, because Nolan, the way he structured the movie, Nolan's direction obviously is outstanding. I mean, it's not surprising that Nolan is knows what he's doing behind the camera, but I mean, it's just an exceptionally well-directed movie, like with the pacing, the shots, the cinematography. Hoyt Van Hoytema, I have no clue how to say his name right. The movie is absolutely stunning. Somehow no CGI, which still baffles me. The movie looks incredible. Some of my favorite moments visually were just the parts of just seeing, I guess, the fires or the atoms splitting, just the more abstract visuals that were less concrete. Like those moments were really memorable.
The moments that I loved particularly, I mean, obviously like the visuals on, you know, the explosions and the bomb were incredible, but I think it happens multiple times when you're like walking through Los Alamos and there's like, I guess I don't know if it's like ashes or it's just little like fragments of stuff just like falling down all around them.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it stands out so well on the camera.
Yeah, I mean, Nolan always shoots his movies on film and in IMAX, and I mean, we saw this in Dolby, which is not IMAX 70 millimeter, which is what he really wants you to see. See the movie on the biggest thing possible. But we saw it on a pretty big thing, and it looked incredible. It sounded incredible.
Yeah, I was about to say, how have we come this far and not mentioned Ludwig Göransson?
Yeah, Ludwig Göransson, I mean, on the score is just exceptional. I mean, he really is one of the best composers working nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, he's done so much. I mean, I've like, you know, recognized his name for years. I mean, he worked on like Community and New Girl, and now he's doing, you know, friggin'
Yeah,
Oppenheimer, and it's absolutely incredible.
yeah. I mean, he's like a lot of other great composers that he can do Community and New Girl, you know, comedy-based shows. He can do the big superhero movie like Black Panther, which is where he won his Oscar. He,
Mhm.
you know, has worked with Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino. Like a lot of people forget that Turning Red last year, he was the composer behind that, because that's a very different score than this. Like this,
Yeah.
and this is a very different score than Tenet, which is the last Nolan movie that he worked on. I mean, he's like Hans Zimmer or a lot of the other great composers. Like he has such, like he does a lot of the research, and the score. I've listened to the score a little bit. It's incredible, and the sound design combined with that. I mean, again, obviously the bomb scene is like that's the type of scene that it's just like across the board is the for your consideration scene. That's like a
Yeah.
like that, and I feel like the Oppenheimer crowd scene are like the two scenes that are like, how many Oscars do you want? How many do you have? Like Ludwig Göransson and the sound design across the board, just chef's kiss all around. It's just electrifying. It's paralyzing. I remember we were looking at our friend Gwen when we were watching this, and it was like I was just like, let's praise it for impact, everybody, because it just felt visceral. This movie felt visceral and personal, but also grand. I mean, that's an insanely impressive tightrope that Nolan walks. Like really, like there's not even a lot I can really say with critiques for this movie that are like insanely huge. Like, you know, there's like obviously nitpicks here and there. Like, I guess one thing that I was like, it did definitely take me a while to really realize what the movie was really about, especially given how the pacing, where the bomb scene is in the movie, like, and then everything after that, it's like, well, where are we really going with this? And again, this is parts of Oppenheimer's story I wasn't completely familiar with. And when I really realized where it was going, I still thought it was very interesting. It definitely takes a while to, I guess, for all the pieces to click together because it's such a complex narrative, both, logistically and structurally, shifting between the different timelines. It's a tricky movie to follow, which is, par for course for Nolan. I mean, it for the most part, it really does earn it. Again, a movie this complexity, it's like, how could it not be hard to follow? I mean,
I would say my biggest nitpick, if you will, and I know this has been like debated to death on the internet. I'm not trying to like rewrite history here or, complain about the Bechdel test or whatever, but I wanted more Florence Pugh and Emily Blunt because genuinely it doesn't make sense to me, that those characters didn't play more of a role in Oppenheimer's life. I mean, especially Emily Blunt's character. I mean, like that was his wife, and I don't remember the years exactly, but there's a significant chunk of time between like, when they first meet and then all the way through to the hearings.
yeah,
And I feel like, I mean, obviously her scene in the hearing was incredible.
yeah.
But I wanted more of her. I wanted to know more about their relationship.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. I definitely want to see more of Emily Blunt and Florence Pugh, even though you definitely see quite a lot of both of them, literally and figuratively. To some extent, I could see because Nolan has had issues with developing female characters and like overall having, I guess, more diverse cast, both racially and gender wise for his movies. But here, with it being a historical biopic, it's, I don't want to say it's hard to, I mean, it's like he's just telling the story how it is. And he's definitely, criticizing a lot of aspects with that, like, because he definitely criticizes the gender norms of, the women have to go through and how much, this movie is like men driven. I mean, that quote that Robert Downey Jr. said in interviews, men start wars. I mean, it's true. And Nolan definitely criticizes a lot of that. And I feel like there's a part of me that feels like not having as much of them was almost an intentionality, like as part of that. Obviously, I still think there could have been a little bit more of them. This isn't a movie about the women in it, which
Yeah.
I mean, I would never expect a movie like this to pass the Bechdel test due to its historical natures and the story that it is telling. It's just like a couple more scenes here or there, but even then, I mean, with the time that they do have, they are incredible in the movie.
For sure.
Overall, if we want to get into our ratings, objectively, I think Oppenheimer, it's very close to a 10. For me, it's 9.5 out of 10, and I adored the movie. I thought it was masterful. It was terrifying. It was informative. I know I probably won't watch this movie for casual viewings, but I know if I go back, I'll be able to piece together even more details. Oppenheimer really is just a magnum opus for Nolan's career, and he's already had an insane career.
Yeah, I give it about the same rating. I think as a theatrical experience, it's pretty grand. Like I don't even know if I could rewatch this movie on my own because I just, it's not like I have an incredible sound system.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
that
feel
could hold up to a film like that. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible directing, incredible acting, editing, sound, all of it. Yeah, I think a 9.5 is a solid rating.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, it is that Nolan is always huge on the theatrical experience and how much movies can be not just a story, but an experience. And this movie is an experience. Costs aside, try to see this in the best format if you can. I mean, for me personally, I'm probably going to try and see it again in theaters to see the Barbenheimer Collective again. And I'm going to still try to see it in a premium format again, just because, I mean, it's a movie that calls for it. It really does. It's a grand story with such insane, huge scenes, and also balances the personal psychological as well. It really is just all around the board. It's an incredible film. It's just Nolan doing what he does best.
So how have you been in the last 5 minutes?
I have been wonderful because it has clearly been absolutely, totally, 100% 5 minutes. And we have not been lying to you with the illusion of editing, and this is all a lie. So hi, yeah, I've
coming
been
out
great.
strong, gaslighting your viewers.
I mean, what else would you want to do as a YouTuber? Like and subscribe. Please don't leave. Please don't leave. Please don't leave. We don't actually hate you. Please, we need the views. Barbie.
Yes.
Uh,
I have to go back on something because, earlier you were saying how, after Oppenheimer, you want something light, something to lighten the mood, like Barbie. And Barbie is a very funny film, but lighten the mood, I'm not so sure about that.
Oh yeah, no, let's be clear. Like, Barbie is a funnier movie than Oppenheimer by nature. That
Hilarious.
It's a comedy, and it is also a drama, because the existential dread you feel while watching Barbie is just as huge. I think I saw a TikTok, I can't remember if I sent it to you or not, of like a guy just being like, all right, so I just watched Oppenheimer. I feel depressed. Hopefully I don't feel the same after Barbie. Okay, so I'm still depressed, but at least it's a little more yassified. Which
the thing is that with Barbie, you didn't expect it.
Yeah,
with Oppenheimer, like, I know this is going to be, heavy and depressing because it's about war and, a major horrible event in human history.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Going into
Big
Barbie
bomb, go boom.
just to have a good time.
Yeah, no, you expect to be like, oh yeah, Barbie, she's fun, right? It's just a simple children's doll. What possible existential dread could you have from a children's toy? Answered by the Lego movie and the Toy Story movies, which is actually quite a lot. Like, apparently toys have it really rough, because toys always end up with such huge existential questions. But even with what I was aware of that from what we were indicated by the plot synopsis or trailers, I still was not expecting, I guess, how deep this movie was going to go. And also, there were a lot of surprises with Barbie in general. Well, first off, just to get the ground running with our base thoughts, incredible, obviously, duh. Greta Gerwig, slay.
Greta Gerwig, no question, was going to slay.
Yeah, no, it was not a question of if, it was how and how much.
And the answer is a lot.
It is a lot of slay. I mean, it is like baffling to me. Like, I would have never expected. I still am like innately shocked that Greta Gerwig got to make a Barbie movie, because I remember the Barbie movie has been in development for years. Multiple people have been cast as Barbie. Amy Schumer was going to be Barbie at one point. I know a lot of people wouldn't be happy about that. I'm neutral on her.
No comment.
But yeah, exactly. So when Margot Robbie got attached as producer, and I'd presume star, but apparently she's been saying that she actually didn't push Greta Gerwig to cast her as Barbie, even though it's also like, duh, it just makes too much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just like, and also, like, obviously she's, partners with Noah Baumbach, but that's just quite the combo. The Barbie movie, written by the person who made Lady Bird and Little Women, both very mature, artsy fartsy dramas, and Marriage Story, which is, a little
different than Barbie.
Just a little bit. I mean, God, the part where Ken was going, every day I wake up, I hope you're dead, was really out there.
It wasn't a line in the film, of course, but I think that energy was there when, I guess, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, when Ken was singing and playing guitar at Barbie. I felt that deep in his soul.
Yeah, I felt pain myself watching that, which I think is the point.
At some point, I think we were going to start with overall reviews. So if I can give my overall review.
Yeah, of course.
The honest overall review is that I have not stopped thinking about this film for 1 second since I left the theater.
Yeah, honestly,
It's
I-
there's so many layers here, both like within the story and creatively with how it was directed and just the set design,
oh
things like
yeah.
that. I mean, there's so much going on here, and if there's one film that I could like prop up as like this is why award shows and whatnot need to take comedy more seriously, this is it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It is, again, it's incredible everything that you said. I mean, I echo 100%. Like this and Oppenheimer have both, I feel like they've been both in the conversation so much that it's been hard to not think about it in that regard because life just keeps reminding you of it. But at the same time, like I keep listening to the songs, I keep thinking about certain jokes, I keep thinking about certain scenes. Uh for this and Oppenheimer, but with relation to Barbie, it's just like I know that in like 5 years' time, this movie will most likely hold up as well as it is like praised right now, and like it will, like Oppenheimer, will probably reach classic status again of very different types of movies, which is the whole appeal of this double feature. And there's just so much to talk about. I mean, and so much that I was going in and knew was going to be good, like you was good, and then it gave me even more surprises. I feel like there were really a lot of surprises that I felt, both just in general, and also I feel like the trailers did a good job at telling you some things, but also hiding other things back, which I felt was a really smart decision because it kept me like trying to guess certain things. Like with Oppenheimer, it's like you kind of can't really guess too much. Uh-oh, is the bomb gonna go off? Barbie, I I was genuinely surprised by a lot of moments, both dramatic and comedic.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of chose to avoid a lot of the trailers and stuff. I wanted to go in knowing as little as possible. Um, so I do think there was a lot that caught me by surprise. I mean, honestly, it shouldn't have. I mean, I remember watching Lady Bird in the theaters. I should have known what Greta Gerwig was going to do to me, but I was still caught off guard.
Yeah, I mean, God, I wish I saw Lady Bird in the theaters. I saw it, I think, much later. I think I saw Little Women before I saw Barbie, but I did see Little Women in theaters, and it's just a different movie than both of those. It's a very impressive thing for Greta Gerwig's third major feature that she's made three incredibly different movies because
Yeah,
Lady
I
Bird
mean,
is,
yeah,
yeah.
visually and stylistically, they're all so different, but I do feel that they're all very connected too, which
Yeah, no,
is,
absolutely. Which
just really shows how talented of a director she is.
and the stamp of a great director because you can see the notions of Greta Gerwig in each movie, and you can also see just how different each of them are. Lady Bird had like, moments of comedic relief, and there were like a couple funny moments in Little Women, but like nothing like that I can remember too much. Barbie is a comedy, and it's not just a comedy, it goes hard with the meta
Yeah,
humor. I mean,
yeah,
it goes even harder than I expected the meta humor to go. An apt comparison for this movie in general is the Lego movie. I would almost go say it goes a step further than the Lego movie's meta style. Like it borderlines Deadpool level of meta because this movie like does so many good meta jokes that work on so many different levels. Like I was dying at some points. I don't want to say all the jokes, like because if I said certain jokes, I don't want to ruin what the jokes were because you don't see
mhm,
them, like we mentioned, you don't see them coming, and then when they pop up there, it's like you're literally hurt from laughing too much.
yeah, for sure. I'm just even trying to figure out like what part of this film to unpack first because there's just so much that I want to talk about. But I mean, we have to talk about Margot Robbie and America Ferrera.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They are both remarkable in the movie. I mean, Margot Robbie, I feel like is just the least surprising thing on the planet. Shocker. Margot Robbie is a good actress and she was great as Barbie. What a shock. There's perfect casting that's too perfect, and then there's just perfect casting. And that really is Margot Robbie as Barbie. She, looks the part. She has such great physicality. She's bright.
I think she really got to, show off her comedic chops this time, and she was really funny too.
Yeah, and very funny in a more innocent type of way, because I'm thinking of other movies that she's made me laugh in, with any time she's played Harley Quinn, or even the moments in Babylon. Obviously very crass characters, and Barbie is anything but crass. And it's and she gets to really have those good comedic moments without chewing the scenery. Rides a very fine line between that, and then also gets to have all those good emotional beats that they really do ring you in, just from the simplicity of those scenes. I mean, I'm thinking the one scene that apparently was almost cut, Greta Gerwig said, with her and the elderly lady in the park. That scene is beautiful. That's just,
my God, yeah.
I mean, and there's so many scenes like that. I mean, America Ferrera, she crushes it here.
Oh, I mean, I feel like it would have been really easy for another director or for another actress to not give that role the weight that it needs to make the story work, for that role to get overlooked. But I mean, she just crushes it, and she makes that character really memorable, when I think it could have been easy for that not to happen.
Yeah, it could have easily just been a plot device, because her character, is honestly, her character is the crux of the story to some extent, and she really gets to hold her own, and she gets to have moments of comedy, and also she gets that. I don't want to delve too deep into the specifics of her big monologue scene, but that big monologue scene, I mean, she really gets to go for it. I mean, I'm trying to think of other things that I've seen her in, but I just always remember her so vividly as Astrid from the How to Train Your Dragon movies, and that youthful presence. And here she has that youthful energy with that sadness that just, is very just, that encapsulates a lot of the movie, which is, I mean, it's frankly profound, which, it's, again, you wouldn't really expect from the Barbie movie.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was a huge fan of Superstore, so I watched her on that, and I do actually think there's some similarities between her character there and Barbie, but this still felt different and fresh, and she really hit those subtle emotional notes that I think made her character a perfect fit in the Barbie world, and made her perfect in the role of Barbie's mentor.
Yeah, she was perfect as this Barbie girl living in the Barbie world, and you kind of set me up there. I just have to say, and also her relationship with her daughter, actress here. There's just so many layered emotions there, and then on the flip side, I want to say America Ferrera is really the heart of the movie. Robbie is the heart and the energy of the movie. And then there's Gosling.
That's the Kenergy of the movie.
That is the Kenergy of the movie. I mean, people who know me know how I feel about Gosling. And he is a wonderful actor. And I feel like a lot of people will always be like, Ryan Gosling's not great. He doesn't emote. He can't do comedy. First off, see The Nice Guys, and come back to me. And then see Barbie, where he is just so insanely good in this. It's just,
yeah. The one thing that, I mean, obviously his performance is hilarious, and the musical numbers are so great. I mean, he just does so much with the character.
Yeah.
It's incredibly entertaining, but I also think, and this is testament to Greta as well. I mean, he embodies the role so perfectly, as far as like, the role of Ken in the Barbie world as a reflection of, the role of men in our society, in the real world. I mean, there's just so many little things about, how women interact with men that, Ken just nails, whether, he's trying to or not. Like that sort of, nice guy innocence of, just all the
Yeah.
stupid things he does that are
Yeah.
actually, that actually really affect Barbie or, women in the real world.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, again, we don't really want to get too much into specifics, but with like they really do play a lot with gender, not just of like femininity and how much Barbie is a symbol of, I guess pride for women across the world, and also like, they critique what the image of what Barbie could be. And similarly, like Ken, they play so much with that. I mean, it's like, that I still just remember that interview, I think like from a year ago. He's like, nobody ever played with Ken, and like, and how much he like actually plays with that, and how much, it's like, if like when the man gets to be the sidekick, it's just, he gets so many, like there is a good soul there, like to some extent, like he's almost just like an innocent lost little puppy dog, to where even when, like he'll say something dumb and stupid like all men do, like you kind of feel for him because he just genuinely doesn't know any better. And like, it's just, I like, they do so much with him. There is a dramatic soul there, and then he also just, he gets so many good comedic moments. Like, God, we could go on just forever just talking about the moments that made from Gosling or the other Kens that made you just crack up dying.
Yeah. But what you were saying about, the way that you feel for him is like you do, and like you laugh at, how stupid he can be sometimes, but it also just, it nails that, frustration of interacting with, a guy like him. And it's like, again, without spoiling too much, the course that he takes throughout the movie, and we see how much that frustration disappoints the other characters. I mean, it hits the nail on the head.
It
And
really,
yeah.
yeah, it really does. It's just, I don't know, the way this movie just embodies like the peak of just any gender norms or gender issues and dynamics is just, it's really incredible. Like they managed to do so much while also making it all incredibly entertaining, and I feel like Gosling is very key with that. I mean, I was seeing like a week ago before the movie came out, like, actual Oscar buzz for him. And now having seen the movie, like, yeah, he is genuinely that good as like Ken. Like, it's just, there's like actors who commit to a bit, and then there's actors who become the bit, like without method acting, because I feel like I don't think he's actually done anything too method for this movie. Thank God. We don't want another Jared Leto on our hands. And I mean, we're already diving in deep a lot, but it's hard to say some things without spoilers. I mean, I can say I'm Just Ken, the song that he has, without even saying too much, because they didn't even really show that much in the snippet they showed of it. But that song, I can't stop listening to that song.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the music in this movie is so good. I mean, there's a ton of original songs in there. I mean, Lizzo, Billie Eilish, I mean, just
Dua
a
Lipa.
ton of, yeah, Dua Lipa, of course. Like,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. It is a very, I mean, like where Oppenheimer has such a terrific score, like the soundtrack here, it just like gives the movie life, because I feel like there's like some licensed songs, some, things you recognize, laugh, and then cringe at. I'm thinking of a certain moment. It just, the soundtrack really does like give the fuel and the energy of the movie. Like, it keeps the movie going at the pace, because this movie moves fairly fast. Definitely knows when to slow down as well, which is like, it's pretty well paced for the most part, I would say.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, I think they did a good job of, like, not biting off more than they could chew, but still, telling a really complete story in the time that they had.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes I've noticed like a trend with, I guess, just a lot of, I guess, contemporary movies, that they have an innate tendency to have really hyper fast pacing because people's attention spans just have gotten so bad nowadays, and they call out some of that. Uh and I feel like to some extent, like, it has such a quick opening that I almost want them to slow down a little bit at the start, but it's like very slight. Because I mean, I can think of other movies that have that issue much greater than Barbie. And Barbie, it's like, like, it's something that you have to really look out for. But this movie really moves fast, and again, the songs play a lot of hand with that. And then also, I'm just thinking the Billie Eilish song, when that hits in the movie, like, that's just, get the tissues out when her song hits. It'll be hard to say which song they campaign for best original song if they don't just campaign multiple, because they really do have a really stacked soundtrack.
Oh, absolutely.
This movie just has, I mean, it's stacked cast, obviously. I mean, we didn't even talk about people like Simu Liu. He's great. Isaiah Ray, great. All the Barbies and Kens are wonderful. Will Ferrell is, he's Will Ferrell, which is like, he's always good.
But even, like, I mean, everyone, like, even the Barbies that we don't see that much, Jamie Demetriou, who was, one of the executives at Mattel. I mean,
Yeah.
he just had all these, like, hilarious little moments.
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, of course, Kate McKinnon, nailing the weird Barbie aesthetic.
Yeah, I feel like, and I don't feel like she ever went too far. I feel like sometimes the nature of, if you ever have Kate McKinnon in something, is to go really, like, really far with what she can do, because she can go for it. But I don't feel like they ever went too far for it. I mean, everybody really gets their moment here, on screen and behind the scenes.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, my biggest takeaway from this movie is that I want Issa Rae to be president.
I mean, I didn't, I mean, that wasn't even a question in my mind after the movie. It's just, I mean, honestly, if we could have the Barbies just actually just take over the government right now, I feel like we'd probably be in a better spot. I mean, again, Robert Downey Jr. said, men start wars and the women should run the world. He's got a point. And what better women to do it than the women in this movie? Just let the Barbies run the world. It'll piss off the conservatives, and you know what? Good. We need that. And we need Greta Gerwig. We do, because
yeah,
God, Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig.
She needs to win, like, all the Oscars for this. And again, I know that comedy isn't always taken as seriously at certain award ceremonies, but I mean, she really deserves it. I mean, I feel like her vision for this film was just so clear and just so perfectly executed down to the last detail. That script is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the script is just absolutely exceptional. It's the type of thing, like, that really will, like, get even better with rewatches, because that you'll be able to pick up on more jokes, you'll be able to pick up on more emotional subtleties, like, you'll be able to point out things in the background, just things with the set design, because obviously the production design is incredible, costumes, all that. Like, that's, if anything, like, I don't even know how much we need to talk about that, because that's so obviously good that it's almost like boring. It's like, it's too good. It's just it's almost boring to talk about it. Do something bad for once. Actually, don't. That's a joke. The amount of detail in this movie, like, every joke comes at the right time. every character moment comes at the right time. I mean, this year, like, I'm looking at the early Oscars predictions. For adapted screenplay, it's going to be incredibly tough because we already have Oppenheimer, eyeing for that category. I believe Killers of the Flower Moon is going to be later this year. Admittedly, if there's one movie that I want to overtake all of them, it's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Let's not be crazy here. I am legally obligated to say Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is still my favorite movie of the year. But like Barbie, I mean, it should easily get an adapted screenplay nomination. I feel like it warrants a Best Picture nomination. It's too early to say
Oh,
whether
absolutely. I think it does.
it warrants the Best Picture nomination. It's too early in the race to say whether it will get it or not. I mean, the crass category, it's going to sweep. But adapted screenplay and Best Picture, like, seriously, it should not go unnoticed. If anything, I think Gosling's safe now, which feels weird to say. I mean, I'm happy about it. I am more than happy about that.
Yeah, although that being said, it would be quite painfully ironic if, out of all this, the only actor from the film who got a nomination was the guy.
Yeah, that will be ironic. But if the movie gets a Best Picture nomination, Margot Robbie gets an Oscar nomination because she produced this. I just love when a movie is so good that you can tell that everyone had a great time watching that or making this movie.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that looked like the most fun set to possibly be on.
Yeah, and you just see the interviews, the dynamic that they all have with each other. It's just nothing but good vibes. And if it's not good vibes, then we're crying, but like it's at least a good healthy cry and not just like unhealthy crying, because there is a difference.
Yeah, it's definitely a healthy cry, but I mean, it's heavy too. It carries a lot of weight to it, but it hits you so unexpectedly and so beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really does. It is very profound. I mean, it's hard to find a lot to critique there. I feel like, again, some of the rapid fire pacing, I feel like that's just something that's almost becoming a pet peeve of mine with just modern movies in general. Like, I feel like this movie already handles pacing so well. I know that they could have, taken another 10 minutes and made it work, but it already handles everything so well. But it's an incredible movie. It's this and Oppenheimer. They're genuinely, like, at the moment, I genuinely can't separate the quality away from each other because they're both equally good for obviously all the different reasons, but they're both phenomenal movies. We have benefited from this double feature.
Yeah, so I completely agree. I mean, obviously they're very different, but they're both such good movies, and it was fun to be able to see them both together like that.
It really was.
So taking in all that we've discussed, what is your final Barbie rating?
Yeah, my final objective Barbie rating is still, it's the same as Oppenheimer. I at the moment have an objective rating of 9.5 out of 10, and subjectively I love the movie. Yeah, it's a movie that works on all cylinders. I mean, I know inevitably, like, I'll end up rewatching this movie more than Oppenheimer just because it lends to rewatches more, unless you like making yourself feel philosophical, existential, societal dread with Oppenheimer. But if you don't feel like that, like most people, Barbie will be instantly rewatchable. It's a movie that I could put on for a good laugh, and it's also a movie I could put on for a good cry just as easily. And it just reminds me how terrible men are and how women really should rule the world. So, I mean, not that I needed that reminder, but it's always nice to have it wrapped in a bow of pink from Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig.
I'm gonna be bold. I might have to give this movie a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I knew
I mean, I could be nitpicky if I wanted to, but I ultimately don't think I would change anything. And maybe I just have a soft spot for Greta Gerwig, but this was just it exceeded my expectations, and Definitely one of the more memorable films of the past few years. And I will also say that, regardless of the awards and whatnot, I have to shout out that this was probably one of the best theater going experiences I've had in
Absolutely.
a very long time, if ever. I mean, the way that the film was marketed, just the energy that they put, the Kenergy, if you will, that they put out
of the film
into the world, just it brought in this crowd that was just so excited to be there, and just everybody was really enjoying the movie and enjoying being in each other's company. And I thought that was just so powerful.
It really was just a wonderful theatrical experience. I mean, they clearly knew that they had something, and they marketed the hell out of this. I mean, not that they needed the synergy from Oppenheimer, but both movies, they helped each other out. The Barbenheimer collective in general is just like, it's actually just so refreshing to see just so much genuine, pure excitement and joy for people to just see these movies with their friends and family together, or just see one or the other and just have a good time, like embrace the chaos of Oppenheimer and Barbie releasing on the same day, embrace the just absolute, just forget about the world, or remember about the world when you're watching the movie, but then also forget about it, but then remember about it and then forget about it. But namely, it is just Barbenheimer. I almost haven't felt that hyped for like an event of movies probably since No Way Home or Sonic Movie 2, or like, I knew it was going to be big, but as we kept on getting closer, I was not expecting it to really be an event as big as it was, and I'm not disappointed in it.
Yeah, it was definitely a memorable experience and a memorable film.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it's Barbenheimer Day will be a day to remember, and Barbenheimer weekend, I think, should just be a yearly thing, whether it's just, celebrating Barbenheimer again, or whether it's more movies that are just completely different and yet completely synonymous. It's times like these where I go, you know what, humans, maybe we're not completely, mostly terrible.
Don't get your hopes up, but maybe.
I mean, look, I'm trying here, okay? I mean, I don't want to cry myself to sleep again. I mean, we just talked about that with Barbie and Oppenheimer. Come on. Happy Barbenheimer, everyone.
Happy Barbenheimer.
Happy Barbenheimer. Everyone watching this, like, let us know your Barbenheimer experiences. I know so many other people saw it as a double feature. If you couldn't see it as a double feature, didn't choose to, just let us know, because the world is crazed about Barbenheimer right now. So we want to know what you think about that. I think that's it. Future me, take the handle.
And we're back, folks, for the ending of this little old review. Sad, isn't it? I don't know why I did it like that. I hope you really enjoyed our Barbenheimer review. Again, apologies for the delay in the Barbenheimer review. We really want to get it out as soon as possible, but life got busy. But hey, we also didn't want to rush it because, we prioritize taking our time here with things, making sure that we're not trying to kill ourselves over the review or the bit. Easier said than done. We're in the film industry, so it's a little bit harder. But regardless, thank you so much, everyone, for watching this. Now, since I'm sure a lot of you have seen Barbenheimer, or at least seen one half of Barbenheimer, let us know what you think. What did you think of Barbie, Oppenheimer? What order did you do? How many times have you seen both movies? Have you had any political arguments over Barbie, because apparently that's just common? Have you questioned your existence after Oppenheimer? I don't know. I did. I questioned my existence after both movies. And if you did, let us know. just let us know in that whole little comment section on the social medias. You've seen a million YouTube things. You know the drill. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I can't believe I'm saying that unironically because, it would genuinely mean a lot if you guys did that. Because I really want this to be like a platform for me and all my film buddies to just, talk about movies and have other people enjoy it. I know people like watching movie reviews and, making you smile. That's, if I can do one thing in my life, that I want to say that this Barbenheimer review is the most crucial moment in your life. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to tune in for the next review, which I'm not sure exactly what movie it'll be. It'll probably be in a whole different space. I am going to be in a new setup soon, so that'll be fun, right? Whenever I or others can get back to reviewing, be on the lookout for that. Until then, have yourselves a great day, afternoon, night, and take care. Peace out, everyone. I'm just Ken, where I see love, she sees a friend. What will it take for her to see the man behind the tent and fight for me?